how we doing out there? We're trying some new things with the channel. I'm going to try to cover one game kind of like this a week where we'll go through and I'll watch and clip some highlights. This week I had picked Albany and Halifax because Albany won. And if you watch this channel at all, you know I am a Firewolves fan and a huge fan of the way that they play the game. That defense, that fast transition style, I think it's just so exciting. And that was kind of the story of the game. You see, Albany's defense is smothering. Like, that's a good pass, but being able to stay on them, get the stick, and even when they have that lapse, boom. I mean, you get the pass across. This should be a great shot. It's Cody Jamieson. You're going to give him the odds there. But Dougie Jamieson's able to slide across, and he's able to make the save. And that's another huge thing right there as you see the Firewolves get the rebound out of the front of the net. I mean, if you give any of these NLL teams so many possessions, that's what's going to happen.
I say that's what's going to happen. What I meant to say was that's when they're going to score goals. If you give guys shots in this league, they're going to score eventually. Dougie came up big with 50 saves, but if you keep giving up possessions and giving up the shots, they're going to score.
So if you're looking at the box scores, you see Halifax came out and scored, and then Albany comes back with an answer. Yeah, so it was Halifax scored, and then the Firewolves go up on the power play, moving the ball around. That's such a big part of their offense. And you see McCardle, boom. What I mean with their team concept, because Walker was setting the pick for him. Tyson Bell has to move over. What a pass and an even better catch. He's able to get it from across his body, pulls it back, and is able to beat Warren Hill. Warren had a really good game, actually. He it wasn't that he had a bad game, but Albany gets really good shots for the most part, and they kind of force you to shoot from the outside. See, I mean, right there, boom, flying across, making the save. Warren Hill had definitely a great game. So Albany got 49 shots. They had 11 goals. So that's 38 saves for Hill compared to Dougie's 50. But Dougie Jamieson, I think, is the best in the league right now. He's playing pretty well. He's getting 50 saves a game. But you're still going to have that. And that's the thing is what people always think of that outside shot. But what you see so much with it in the NLL is you got to get the goalie off the post. If you can get him moving away from the post and kind of lose where he is in the net, that's a big thing. But like there, he's able to track where he is, moves right across. And Albany got a lot of good bounces in this game. That helps. I mean, right there off the ref, boom. Yeah, Hill was all over it. Dougie was all over it. But the transition of Albany is really what won them this game. So Colton Watkinson, I mean, McCardle had 4 goals. That's obviously a big help too. Patelli gets on the board with his, which is huge, running across the floor. And this is a speed. You see, most guys will do it with a pass where they try to fire it across, and you get the goalie. They're trying to get him off his post and moving away a little bit, and then he fires it back across. But as you see there, Dougie is up to the task. Really, the shining star of the game for Albany. And it's hard to say it wasn't McCardle.
As he just save after save after save and making it look so cool and casual, Teddy, and just proving why back in 2020 he was named.
And I mean, the commentary guys were talking about it. Dougie is such a huge advantage. They play great together the way that team is set up. All right, so going into the third quarter, Albany's 4-3. That stick check by was
LaFontaine.
nasty. Ah, boom. This is what I mean. They get the ball off the bounce, shoot it. He's able to get his stick in the way. Good job, Nishimura. He gets beat, but the way the slide comes over, Forrester comes over and saves him. But this is it right here. Nishimura flying up the floor, and they have to respect these guys because so many of these Albany guys can score. So you see, that's such a big thing. They pick up the rebound. They hit him again on it. He just scored. So now they're staying a little tighter on him with the defense. They feed it across. McCardle's able to pick up the rebound, comes back in and beats Hill. Yeah, that's what Albany's doing right now is they can send the guy in and you have to worry about how he's gonna if he's gonna score or if he's gonna try to go down and hit somebody coming off the bench. But that transition game is where Albany really shines. But I mean Halifax is a phenomenal team. Their offense is oh my goodness good.
At one point, Albany was leading 6-3, and then Halifax had 5 unanswered goals and brought it 8-6. And I mean, you had to expect Halifax is too good. You're not going to shut them out. You're not going to be able to keep them down. And Fennell really is what happened. Fennell kind of got hot, got things going. Shanks had a goal, Bushi had a goal, Peterson had a goal, Fennell had 2, and then Tanner Thompson kind of came back and got him on the board to try to stop the bleeding. Then Fennell comes back again. This is actually Bushi scoring, but I was talking about Fennell and kind of on a roll.
Dougie does what Dougie does, and Albany does what Albany does. They come flying down on the transition, draw him over. Nishimura throws that little half a pump fake. That was so huge because he froze Hill over on the side. Watch that again. Nishimura pumps, and that makes Hill have to step out off the post. He then passes it across. Hill doesn't know exactly where the post is, isn't able to get quite over there fast enough, and he beats him over the top. Nishimura had a great game up on offense, and the defense played phenomenal. The transition really is huge for this game because I believe, yeah, so Nishimura had a goal, Colton Watkinson had a goal, but Ethan Walker, boom, not today. Hill played really good. It's kind of misleading when you look at the shots on goal because you're like, Albany only had 38 shots, which may not sound like a lot when you talk about Dougie having 50 saves and Hill having 38 saves. But it was a lot of saves like that. There was a lot of quality chances. Hill kept them in
Not
this
just
game.
in the game. I mean, they were winning the game with, you know, under a minute to go. They thought for sure it was theirs.
That's huge right there. They come down. They're able to stop him from getting the shot, knock the ball down, picks it back up. But Nishimura coming in on the slide could have bit him there, but instead, because Albany works so good as a team, they don't allow Halifax to pick up the loose ball. Boom. And who's got it? Nishimura coming up the field again. Here's where Glenn Clark really shows how smart he is. 40 seconds left. He sees the 3-on-1, and you watch Glenn Clark he's calling the timeout before he even starts to fall. But he gets it all, calls it in. Genius move on Glenn Clark's part. So they're able to keep the possession. It's obviously not ideal. They wanted to hold it for the last shot clock. But that being said, Halifax kind of sits back like, okay, we're going to let them move around. They start moving it. The screen here is the seal. Boom. You give Ethan Walker a chance with his hands free. And Ethan Walker does what Ethan Walker does. 2 goals, 1 assist. Really good game from Ethan Walker. 2 very important goals.
That was Tanner Thompson on the screen. Tanner Thompson.
Little miscue in overtime. You see the shot clock's down. 3, 2. Albany's defense will force you to think that you need to try to get cute with that extra pass. And that's a huge thing to Dougie because Dougie comes out on the pressure that Albany puts on. So really you think the way to beat that team is the quick pass across, and it forces the teams to get cute, and you get a lot of that where you get the shot clock violation instead of the team taking a better shot. Here's where you're really going to see Albany's offense shine. You see Heide come down and Justin Scott, who's playing phenomenal. Boom. They set the seal. And that gives him just enough time for McCardle to step over and beats Hill out to the far side. awesome job. That's how Albany's offense has kind of been working throughout the game. As you see them, they got to move the ball around. Albany got a lot of good shots. Sometimes I think they get a little cute and they wait a little longer than they need to, but I'm just an idiot sitting here talking to you guys, so I really wouldn't take my word for it. But when you look at the stat leaders for the game, so Gary McCardle, 4 goals and 4 assists. That's such a huge part of the offense. What a pickup he was. Good job by the Firewolves. They look super smart. Heine Thompson with his 4 penalty minutes. Jake Withers. That's something Albany did really well was they got into Jake Withers' head. They got him frustrated, got him off his game a little bit. And anytime you can take Withers out of the play and get a couple face-offs, even if, one of them didn't go their way. But it's a huge thing to be able to do that. Loose balls. Now, this is something. The loose balls is spread out really well by Albany. They don't have one guy that gets a bunch. But, as you see, Kieran McCardle, 5 loose balls. Forrester, 3 loose balls. Forrester's been a great pickup, too. He really helps with that transition. Castle Chalk? Castle Chalk. He's got 5 loose balls. Watkinson, 5 loose balls. Nishimura, 5 loose balls. Greg Downing, 6 loose balls.
Greg Downing's one of the anchors of this team. Been here for a few years. Solid.
50 saves by Dougie. But Albany basically did what they tend to do, which is they take a little break off. And Halifax had a 5-goal run, which, right up through the half was a really back and forth, evenly matched game. Albany goes into the half up 4-3, come out 2 quick goals. Then they decided they need to take a little break. It's a game of runs, though. But if you look at that, you would think most teams would want to give up at that point. They had the 2-goal lead. They give it up. Next thing you know, they're down 8-6. Then they score. It's 8-7. Then Halifax scores, goes back up by 2. Then McCardle decides to start heating up, brings us back up to with 1, makes it 8-9. Then Armstrong scores, it's now 10-8. Halifax is probably feeling good, and then Albany comes back and scores 2 more to bring it to overtime, where McCardle was nice enough to finish the game off for Albany. As always, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. If you guys like what we're doing here, leave us a comment. Let us know what games you want us to cover next week. Me and Owen are going to do our own full-length show, and we're going to cut it into mine and Rodney's BS in the NLL. Thanks for joining. Like and subscribe. Hello. Thanks so much for joining us this week on BS in the NLL. Something Rodney just brought up to me was Heine Thompson only took 2 shots in that Albany game. He definitely needs to be a bigger part of that offense.
Oh, he definitely. I mean, like I said, he can shoot. He's a goal scorer. I mean, even in that game I watched, he was open a few times off. He set a pick or a screen, and he rolled off, and he was wide open, calling for the ball, and the other guys were shooting. I mean, he's got to get the ball more. They need a scorer. He's a scorer.
Yeah, he could be that guy. And Connor Kelly's back this week, too, so I'm kind of excited for Albany. But the main game you were covering was Georgia and Buffalo, and wow, what a game that was.
Yes, that was a very good game. It was a fast-paced game because it had moments of, fast-paced, but that was really a calm down, and it was a lot of, I don't know, whoever made the mistake got scored on, pretty much what it was. But Josh Byrne, you can't, I don't know, he's going off this season.
He's having quite the year. It's been crazy. You're like, wow, what is going on with Josh Byrne? He had 6 goals in that game.
Yeah, and he's doing it from outside shots, beating this guy 1-on-1, dunking the ball, every category you can get a goal, and he's getting them. So his stutter steps on a point right now. I mean, he's doing good. And he's seeing the ball well, and he's passing the ball well. I mean, he's on fire, and that's dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, and Dane Smith, 5 assists. He starts the goal scoring, gets him off, and with Matty Vince playing as good as he was, Buffalo gets off to the 3-0 run, and then Georgia wasn't able to come back. But I tell you, Georgia looked a lot better than they did last week.
Yes, they look a lot better. They're doing when they were shooting the ball, they were doing the shots that they're supposed to do. They weren't just firing it on net. Like they were I would say picking their poison when they shoot, and they were dropping. And that's how they, like I said, Buffalo took off real quick, and Georgia calmed down and went out there and pumped in 3, 4 goals, tied it up. Then it was just one goal, one goal, one goal the whole rest of the game, and that makes for a great game. I love that game. I was watching that, and I'm just like, this is what I like to see.
Yeah, it was. And like you said, they really Buffalo put together two other small runs, a 2-goal and a 3-goal run, and Georgia had one. But it really, as you're looking at it, was back and forth. And Lyle
Yeah.
Thompson really is the key, and they kind of need somebody else. You kind of need Q to be able to step up and start getting more goals. I mean, Bomberry had a great game, but they need somebody else. You can't have Lyle score 6, 7 goals a night for you.
No, I mean Lyle had 6 points that night, which is good for him. I mean, he's going to get that no matter what. But like Q needs it. Q had 4 goals, I think. Dawson did pretty good as a
No,
rookie goalie.
Q had 4 assists. He took 11 shots, 4 assists.
4 assists.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
Dobson, rookie,
he's looking good.
46 saves. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
they
and
did good.
Buffalo's a great team. Matty Vince. I mean, that's a tough team to compete with and trying to score on him. I mean, he had 46 saves, what Vince had.
Yeah,
So
so him and Dawson had 46 saves each.
yeah,
So that's a good game. Yeah, I mean, that's why it was a 2-goal game. They won, but it was closer than that the whole time.
Georgia's defense really stepped up in this game. I mean, you see Tahoka didn't get any. Josh Byrne had 6 goals. I mean, he's on a tear. But other than that, Georgia was able to. I mean, Buchanan, his 2 goals, more of fast break style and kind of.
Yes.
He was the odd man rush setup. But wow, was Georgia's defense. This was a great week of defensive games and guys. I mean, there were some pretty low scoring games.
Yeah, like you said in that the transition game is why Buffalo won. They had a few transition goals where it was a broken down play on transition, and that's how they got their goals. 5-on-5, the Georgia Swarm defense was locked down on them. Like they knew what they're doing. They had a game plan. They stuck to it, and it worked.
Yeah. The Georgia defense did really good. And then Halifax, after they played Albany, they had to go to Toronto.
After they lost to Albany.
Yes, that's right.
You can throw that in there.
Absolutely. So after my Firewolves got to beat them, and that was a tough physical game. And then they went to Toronto, and I don't know if somebody said something to the Toronto team to make them that angry, but wow.
Yeah.
That was a physical game. Everybody was fighting. Tom Schreiber, 5 goals, and he looks like Tom Schreiber again.
Yes, he was moving, cutting, doing what he was doing. He was NLL time Schreiber again. I want to go back to the Firewolves Halifax game real quick. Albany went up there, beat them in Halifax. That's not an easy feat to do. So I think that took a little mustard out of Halifax. So when they go to Toronto, they're like, they were in a battle one night, and then they got to go to Toronto and then get mopped over pretty much. I mean, that was good.
They looked flat out there, like you said. And I mean, at the beginning, they really were into it, and it just seemed like they couldn't keep the energy going.
Yeah, it's like they ran out of gas a little bit, and they just couldn't get back into it. And Toronto was just firing all cylinders.
Yeah.
Offense, defense, goalie, everything.
7 power play goals.
That's disgusting.
Lots of penalties.
That's something as a coach you scratch off the board and don't let anybody see that. I would. That's what I would.
No, there was 7 power play goals total, both teams. I was just saying how many penalties, and especially that fourth quarter, everybody got a little carried away.
Yeah.
But it was what a physical game. Not at all what I was expecting. They really had Toronto's defense shut down Halifax pretty well.
Yeah, I watched the game. I didn't get too many notes on it, but I don't know what Randy had or Jammer had or Peterson had. I mean, I know you got it pulled up there, but I mean, no one really shined for them.
No, in the third quarter, they only scored one goal. I mean, they got two in the first, and their defense was up to the task, keeping Toronto down to two. And then in the second quarter, Toronto's one of those teams that Halifax should be too, that you can expect them to have a good run where they're going to get 5 goals in one of these quarters, 6 goals in one of these quarters. Because if everybody gets hot and they're firing, it really doesn't take long for those guys because, like you said, there's so many great players on their team. So Cody only took 4 shots. He had an assist. Bo Hunter, though. I mean, wow, is that kid playing great?
He's coming on. Yeah,
He's getting goals. I mean, he's not killing it. He's not getting multiple goal games, but for a young man being out there, he's doing a great job.
As a rookie, he's going out there. He's proving that he belongs on that floor. He's doing the little things, setting the picks for everybody, and he's getting rewarded with his 1 or 2 goals that he's got so far. I mean, sky's the limit for that kid right now. I mean, he's playing on a high point offense and fitting right in easily.
Oh, yeah. He's fitting it great. And Fennell, who had a pretty good night against Albany, not so great. He only had a goal, but again, he only took 8 shots. They just didn't seem to get the offense going. Benesh had 9 shots, 2 goals. Benesh played all right. They were able to shut him down going across there a couple times when he could have had goals and just not being able to finish there. But, Withers did what Withers does.
Yeah, it's Withers.
Yeah. And now the Saskatchewan-Colorado game, that game was, again, another physical game. And these two teams, it's going to be a battle in the West. And I tell you, with what happened in Calgary, too, and Owen will come on and talk about that one after. But, wow, Calgary looks good. And Saskatchewan's looking good, though. I mean, they need to find out how they can start winning these close games. But
yeah, that Colorado-Saskatchewan game, that was a game they took personally, it seemed like. And, Zeddy did his thing, but it was a good game. It was very physical. You can't really say, this one person stood out like crazy. He scored a bunch of it. It was a very defensive-minded, physical, nose-to-the-ground game.
Yeah. No, it wasn't. It was just back and forth. No team was able to really run away with it. At one point, I mean, the biggest lead was what? Only a goal? 2 goals?
I think it was 2 goals.
2 goals at the beginning of the game when Colorado got up early. But then Bouquet has been playing really good. So there's a huge difference in shot totals, too. And the Mammoth were taking those good shots, flying across the floor, getting them out, moving in the crease. Bouquet played great, but Dylan Ward outshined him. I mean, even though the 35 saves, and I think Bouquet ended up with, Bouquet had 35, and Dylan Ward had 44. So that really was the difference, though, and you're finding out, Matty Vince being able to shut down those couple goals. That's really coming down to what some of these teams are.
Yeah, Dylan Ward, he had one bad game so far this year, got pulled. And ever since that game, he's been on fire. Look how many saves he just had in that game. That's a lot of shots, and that was the difference for that game, was the goaltenders.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the shots were they actually, so Saskatchewan, jeepers. The Rush were able to
the Rush.
Yeah, the Rush shot more. But one thing is they're not, I don't know, they don't seem to be getting their shots spread out quite as well with the Rush team.
They do a lot through Jesse King. Tanner Cook needs to start shooting more, get open more. It's his second year in the league. They got the brothers now are playing for them now. Oh, what are the brothers' names? I can't remember. For the Rush. Josh and Zach, I think.
Courier, you're talking. They play for.
Oh, the Courier boys, yeah.
That's the Roughnecks. That's up in Calgary.
Oh, they're in the Roughnecks.
Yeah, you're on the wrong team. So no,
sorry.
Church. All right, I was like, what are we talking about here? But no, because you got Church and Matthews really leading the way. Littner.
Yep.
Wow, he's been on a tear too. He had 4 goals. I don't know. They just need to find that extra guy who's going to step up. Keenan was, right there with 2 goals, but to beat some of these teams, you need to have 14, 15 goals, it seems like, especially playing against Dylan Ward, good luck with that. It
Yeah, oh
very
yeah,
physical
against
game.
Dylan Ward, you need there are 8, 9 offense guys that go there. You need 4 or 5 of them to put up 4 goals a game, easily. You need that ball awareness, spread around, and everything. But then again, you go against Dylan Ward, and when he's on fire, good
Yeah.
luck.
And you look at like Zeddy Williams though. His 10 shots, 3 goals. Connor Robinson, 13 shots, 4 goals. Their percentage
Yeah,
was great. Eli
yeah,
McLaughlin was 1 for 9, but he had 3 assists and played. Yeah, he gets the loose ball afterwards too. Is another thing that he was pretty good for. So it's it was another one of those very physical games. And I tell you, Colorado, that West is going to be a lot tighter than everybody thinks. I mean, the East is good too. Both of these leagues are so much parity. Really, you look at Vancouver, and now you're wondering, are they starting to figure it out? They got rid of the GM. Scanlon got on the
yeah,
board. So, Vancouver's getting a lot better. The way this is all shaping out it's going to be interesting.
yeah. Because like at the beginning of the season, when we started doing this, it was like the West was kind of almost like it's easy. The East went up there, it's an easy win. But now the West is starting to come up. They're fighting themselves. Where made the East found themselves a little too early. It's gonna be up and down. So hopefully the East wins the championship this year, but you never know. I mean, it's gonna be. They're coming down to their own. The West is.
Yeah, they are, and I tell you, they're really playing good. So if we go to that San Diego and Vancouver game, this was a much better game for Vancouver than they'd been, but they still weren't there. That was the week before,
No,
wasn't it?
that was the week before.
That's
Yeah,
I was
because
like, that's not right. Who did Vancouver play?
Calgary. They play Calgary.
That's right.
The Seals in
So
Calgary, and Calgary won
no,
their game
Vancouver
14
played
to
Las
10.
Vegas. Calgary
Yep.
played San Diego. We're all screwed up tonight, guys. Sorry about this. We had to go a little earlier than expected when I realized Buffalo and Rochester were playing at 7:30.
Yeah, our minds are on the Buffalo Rochester game right now. That's why. Sorry, everybody out there watching this. We'll get it right. Don't worry. Go watch the Bandits play tonight.
Get it right
Make
at
sure you
some
watch the
point.
Bandits. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, Las Vegas played Vancouver. Vancouver won 19-16. Vancouver, I think they needed Sean Evans. He's that veteran leadership and a little bit of spark because he still has that in his heart to play. Um,
Yeah. I
he
think
had 8 points.
yeah, that really made the difference. Though, is I mean, he came on, and now you're starting to see how how much the team is growing, and you got to wonder, you know, now that Chase Scanlon's gotten on the board and some of these younger guys, are they going to get better? Or was this just because they were playing Las Vegas?
The other thing is Las Vegas, they're not a bad team. I mean, they put up 16 points on Vancouver. Vancouver just outscored them. I mean, Vancouver's top offense line produced this. So Evans had 8 points. Keegan Ball had 8 points. Mitch Jones had 8 points. So you got 3 guys getting 8 points. That's kind of hard to stop no matter what team you're on. And then Chase had 5 points. As you know, he's starting to show up.
Yeah,
Las Vegas, I don't know. Well, Hellier for Las Vegas had 11 points. He was 1-10.
Yeah.
Just dishing out assists. I mean, it was a good game. I mean, it wasn't sloppy. It was kind of up and down. I mean, there were sloppy points at it, and
But I mean,
what do
the
you call
most
it?
impressive thing, like, look at Sean Evans. He was 50% shooting from the floor, though. 6
Yeah,
shots on
that's
goal, 3 goals, 5
crazy.
assists. It seems like it's exactly what they needed.
Yes, they needed that one special player that can bring that offense together and start working as a unit. Because they were passing the ball around a lot more. It wasn't just Keegan Ball and Mitch Jones going one-on-one every time. That's what they've been doing, and the ball was moving. And I guarantee you, Sean Evans has something to say to do with that. He's probably because he's been in the league forever. He's pass the ball, get the ball, move the ball. Ball moves faster than anybody out there, So he, that's a good pickup. You never know what happens now. They could win out the rest of the year with him.
No. And that's the thing with this league is, yes, they got off to a rough start, but they're still they can still come back and do it. I mean, Colorado went what 0-3 or 0-4 last year at the start of the year.
Yeah, and they got rings.
Yeah,
So it don't matter it's how you finish. It's not how you start, it's how you finish.
yeah,
But sometimes if you start bad, you get in the deep hole.
yeah, and that's tough to get out of. And
Hmm.
Vegas is just I don't know. It's a new team. Zach Greer, 5 goals, 11 shots. They're getting there. They just need to, you know, they'll figure it out. I feel like it kind of happens with a
Yeah,
new team. You saw it with Panther City last year. Is just when you're bringing a whole new structure in and you're trying to figure out what your team is. It's very hard to build it all at once.
so
So
yeah, you get everything together. The pieces are there. They're just not falling into place yet. And like with Panther City last year, right at the end, their pieces started falling into place, and they almost made the playoffs. So that could be Las Vegas this year. I mean, like I said, they got tons of talent. I mean, you got Bertrand, Hellier, Greer, Jacob Rouet. I mean, there's not no lack of talent. Their defense is good. Um, Kells, he got pulled. Watson actually played, and look at what happened. He had 23 saves. Kells had only 12.
yeah.
Um, I would have kept playing Watson from the game one. I mean, it's only going to make him better. But
Well, they started with him, and the problem was then Kells played pretty good,
yeah,
and so it was like okay, and then you got well that gets into the goalie's head. Then they're running into we want to keep switching them, but I mean if you look at the roster, you've got Eric Turner, you've got a lot of leaders on that team
yes,
that can get there. The real question is going to be is Greer going to be able to keep being that guy as the rest of the team develops into what they need to be because you can't rely on him to score 5 goals a game, obviously, but
no.
you need other guys on the team to start stepping up, taking shots, and they'll have to figure out who's going to be that guy.
Well, they got their one rookie there, Hannah.
Yeah,
He's starting to come into the game now. He's starting to figure out how to play. He's young. He's I think he's only 20 still. Um, Bertrand, he did good at Rochester last year. Now he's there, and he's starting to pick it up a little bit more. And like Greer, he can't be doing this week in and week out because he's older. He's been in the league for a while. He's kind of beat up, and it's starting to show. Same with Hellier. He's a veteran, but he's a younger veteran. But I mean, other teams' defense is going to zero in on them and beat them to the ground, and that's when these other two are going to have to get it together. And yeah, I just had a phone call.
uh-oh.
I know it's nobody.
All right, well, yeah, and then that was the San Diego game. I don't know why I keep clicking on that game. I'm very convinced I want to talk about it still, but
So you better walk about it. Then.
it's the no, it's the Rochester, New York game that I want to talk about. I'm not sure why I keep screwing that up because wow, that was a good game for a. I mean, to be able to hold Rochester to 11 goals right now, I think that's a huge statement for New York's defense. I mean, they looked very improved. I mean, they're moving in the right direction. It makes me a little nervous because they're playing Albany this week. But I mean, if you look at it, they got beat in the second quarter, and that was because it was the Connor Field show, and he kind of just decided he was going to score every time he shot for a couple minutes.
Yeah, and the thing with New York, they just traded Colin Crawford, Leo Stores, and Leo's a great defenseman, and Colin Crawford's Colin Crawford. He gets his goals. I mean, they picked up some good players, but I mean, something must have been going on for them to trade them. I don't know, but yeah, that Rochester. I mean, it was only 8-11 for New York. Jeff Teat and Larson Sundown, they're starting to click. They're on the same page. I mean, you can't. They're gonna be trouble here coming up in the next couple of weeks. I think guarding those two. With Rochester, their whole offense is trouble. Every single one of them can score on that offense, and the transition game is very, very good.
Yeah. Yeah, everything about that Rochester team is so good right now. There was a
Yes.
streak there where it just seemed like the refs were calling everything on the Riptide, and that really was
Mm-hmm.
a huge factor. As it kind of, but once they kind of figured out what the refs wanted, I mean, that is really what I wanted to kind of talk about though. Is like Connor Fields didn't play last week, and he's averaging 4 goals a game. But wow, is he on fire. And now Ryan Smith is starting to heat up. And just the rest of that team is like, wow. And Hartley still, there's no signs of him slowing down at all.
No, that's good. That's good for them. Hartley's still being healthy. Like you said, Rochester, they're peaking slowly, which is good. They're not going straight up then down. They're peaking very slowly, and as of right now, I mean, between them and Rochester, it's kind of, or Buffalo and Rochester, I don't know. We'll find out tonight.
Yeah, we will. I mean, that's
Who's the
going to be
top dog?
Yeah, I mean, and it seems like they've been able to get that guy to step up, Holden Catoni, Ryan Smith, or Thomas
Yeah.
Hogarth. He didn't step up, last week, but he does so much out there. Hogarth's one of those players that he's really, a floor general for them, and that was another physical game. You're starting to see a lot of these games, the defense and the physicality. They're not letting guys just go through the middle. Like in that Saskatchewan
No.
game, I think that's really what was the difference is Colorado was able to get in the middle a few more times than Saskatchewan was, and that's how they beat them. And I think a lot of this, the Nighthawks don't have to get inside. They're shooters. They've got some big shooters that shoot from a ways away, and what they're really good at is moving that ball
Yeah.
around up top, where you get the goalie out off the post, and now he's kind of in that no man's land in this crease, trying to remember where he is as he's going, and it's
And then there's a big shot coming at him as soon as he's stepping. I mean, you
yeah,
said it. Every single one of Rochester's offense, they have a cannon on them.
yeah.
Knight has a cannon. Fields has a cannon. Catoni has Smith. Hogarth is the dirty player on the crease where they miss, he grabs a rebound, puts it in. So that's hard to defend.
Yeah, no, I think Rochester is definitely right up there, but I mean, New York is really the question mark, I guess, as we go forward. Is they've made a bunch of trades this week. Riley O'Connor was able to get on the board with one.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, he's got to score more goals. I mean, if New York's going to be successful, he's got to be a part of it. Jeff Teat playing phenomenal and all those guys, but
Yeah.
you need some offensive guys to really step up and start scoring. And he's been around the league for a little while now. It's you know, if New York's going to be successful, I think that's going to be how.
Yeah, they can't depend on Jeff T every time.
Yeah.
And like I said, with them getting rid of Colin Crawford, Colin Crawford would get the ball and take it to the hole every time. Like he really didn't pass too much. Maybe that's another reason they got rid of him. But yeah, they need one or two other offense guys to get those 2 goals a game, couple assists,
Yeah.
and they'll definitely break that barrier and become one of the top teams in the league.
Yeah. That Larson Sundown for them too. I tell you, he's a player I think flies under the radar.
Oh, very much. Like he does all the grimy, dirty work to make Jeff T look great.
Yeah. Yeah, he does.
He does.
And then he got himself on the board a couple times. He's like, hey, I can play this game too.
Yeah, and Jeff T recognizes it and is starting to reward him for it now. So that's how it happens. That's how it works.
Yeah. No, they're doing good things down there in New York. I think that's definitely moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
They're building things forward. So let's kind of get into obviously Buffalo, Rochester. I'm really hoping. I don't know. I'm thinking Rochester's gonna win. I just think right now with
It's
Hartley
hard
and
to
their
tell.
offense on fire, but
everything you just said, you can take it, put it right on the Bandits
Josh
too. So
Byrne. It's going to come
Josh
down
Byrne on
to
fire. Matt Vince on fire.
yeah. But is Connor Fields playing like he's still mad at Buffalo?
So tonight when he plays, if he gets a couple goals real quick, then yeah, he's pissed at Buffalo.
Yeah.
And this is the hardest game this year that who's going to win, because I really don't know. I can't pick a team.
No,
I really can't.
I honestly think it's going to come down to Hartley and Vince, and basically whoever has the better game, their team. Because both teams, like you said, they've both got the offensive juggernauts. You got Dane Smith, you got Josh Byrne, who's just on fire, Connor Fields, who's just on fire, Ryan Smith, and you could go on and on with both of these teams. You could list guys all day. I think it's going to come down to the goalie and the defense. Who can get those couple extra possessions with the rebounds? Who can get the extra shot clocks and see, because that's a lot.
That's a lot of offense
A lot
talent.
of firepower.
So I think tonight the Rochester Bandits game, it's going to be that fourth, fifth string offense guy that's going to need to show up tonight for those teams. So that guy puts in 1 or 2 goals. I think that might be the difference maker.
100%, because with
Yeah.
both of these teams, you got to expect that they're going to, what you're going to get from their offensive productions. And
Oh yeah.
I tell you though, Rochester is on a tear. They're 5-0. Somebody's got to beat them. And yes, it could be Buffalo. They just played a pretty emotional game. They just beat Georgia, who they had just beat, double the score the week before, and
Yeah.
now play Georgia to a close game. So yeah, no, I'll give it to you. It's
It's hard.
it's going to be the game. It's definitely, I think, the game of the weekend, because then you've got Vancouver and Las Vegas repeating it at 10:30 tonight, so I'll have to watch that one tomorrow. But again, now we're going to get to see. I think this is Vegas's chance for a victory, but Sean Evans, how effective is he? Is he going to take Vancouver out of the dumps, and they're going to take that
Sean
0-3
Evans, their
start?
savior.
Yeah, he could definitely be the player of the year.
Oh yeah, easily. He still got it. I mean, for how old he is, he's an elder vet, but he's still playing like he's 25.
Yeah. And then you've got Toronto and Philly. I expect Toronto to handily win that game.
Let's hope so. I mean,
yeah,
that's hard. I mean, like you said, did Philly have a bad game last weekend? Or like what's going on? Or did Toronto just? I mean, if Toronto keeps their foot on the gas pedal, yeah, they're gonna steamroll fucking Philly this weekend.
But like last week, Blaze Reardon didn't have a hat trick. Matty Rambo didn't have a hat trick. Joey Restateras had a hat trick, but I still think he took like 18 shots to get his 3 goals. But
it was nothing special.
Right, and that's what I'm saying is I don't know, Philly, but it's not about peaking at the beginning of the year. But now we're starting to get into, they've got to turn it around, because their record 2-2, Toronto's 3-2. You've already got Rochester out to a 5-0 record. That's hard to catch up to. And then you've got Buffalo just behind them. The East is loaded.
Yeah, it's like we're almost to the half-point season where teams start to find their chemistry and what they're about, and it's starting to show. Like I said, Rochester, they're peaking slowly. Bandits, they're the Bandits. They're good no matter what. The Riptide, they're getting better. Then you go out west, like the Seals start out on fire, then they lost, and it just depends on how that weekend is, I guess.
There's just so much parity in this league. There's really not one team that, I mean, like, yes, Rochester right now is 5-0, but it's not like they've run away with every game.
No, they got to fight for every win. That's the thing.
Yeah, they have had to earn every win. And, I mean, yes, they are on a tear. I'm really, really interested to see how Connor Fields is. I don't know if he can maintain it. I think a big reason Buffalo decided to go with the offensive weapons they had was because they're concerned postseason, and being able to maintain it. Connor Fields is a great athlete, but it's a long season. He's not that big of a guy. It's not like Tahoka or Dane. They're large fellas. Josh Bird, big fella. Like, they are huge. Like, they're huge men, so they're a little bit more resilient. Nothing against Connor Fields. He's one of the best players in the league, and especially right now he's on fire. But yeah,
I think he'll be able to handle this for how many games he played? 17 games this year.
Yeah,
and that's a lot of wear and tear on your shoulders.
Oh yeah, he did take one game off for his wedding. He I guess went on a honeymoon, so he missed the week before. So last week he came back. If he had done that and maintained his average, he's at 20 goals right now. But I'll be going to
something? I would have never went on my honeymoon. Lacrosse first.
The Riptide Albany game I'll be going to and watching. Right now New York is 0-4, and I don't know, Albany's 2-2, and I'm really interested to see how New York's offense can do. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a defensive battle. That's going to be what wins this, but maybe I'll be surprised. Maybe Haida Thompson and Connor Kelly will be out there just lighting it up this year. And
they show up.
Yeah. But, like, Patelli got a goal last week, so he's got to start feeling it. He's got to get a couple more.
Yeah.
they've got Tanner Thomas has been awesome. Or Thompson.
Yeah, Tanner Thompson's been on fire.
Yeah,
He's playing very well.
Huge part. That whole team concept that they're setting multiple picks and the way they're moving their offense. As long as Albany stays healthy, I think they're going to make a run for it. But I don't know if New York has the firepower. I'm thinking Albany's going to win 12-8. It's going to be
that's a good assumption right there. 12-8. That's because they said New York's around that cusp. Like they could easily be 2-2 also. New York.
Yeah.
But they're missing something. So maybe these trades they had, that might be hopefully the key they can find. But you're at 12-8. That sounds like a very reasonable score that Albany is going to win.
Yeah, it's kind of how I'm expecting it to play out. I think you're going to then Philadelphia. Hopefully that'll help us stay up above. Philadelphia and New York can battle for the bottom of the conference. But you never know because Colorado started out terrible last year.
Yeah, you never know. Any one of these teams on the lower end could go on an 8-game win streak right now.
Yeah, and you really don't even need the 8-game win streak as long as you can get stack them up together. And really, I think it's coming down to goalies. And Orleman has showed time and time again he's a great goalie playing for New York. But I think he's susceptible to that pass, cutting across the backside. And that's one thing Albany does that drives me a little nuts. They always try to get the extra pass in for the shot. And it's like, just shoot the ball.
Shoot the ball, yep.
Obviously they know more than I do. They're out there winning in the NLL, and I'm talking about them here on YouTube.
No, but you see, right? So I tell them, a lot of kids, as soon as you beat your guy, shoot it.
Yeah.
Don't wait to get right on top of the crease. By the time you get to the top of the crease, you're getting laid out. Or, worse shot.
And good things happen when you throw the ball at the net.
Yes.
You get the rebound, it could go off somebody, a lot of things like that.
Or it goes in.
Right. And that's part of the reason why Dougie gets so many shots, though, is because Albany, they force the guys outside and they'll kind of give them that outside shot. So that's where if you've got a goalie who's really good at position, it doesn't matter how many of those you pepper at him from out there. If he's always in the spot, if you can't get him moving east to west, it's not going to matter.
It's like with Dylan Ward. He steps out way high top of the crease when an outside shot comes. But their defense, they play the two low guys. They play man to hip, so they can't do that cross crease pass. So it's got to be the outside shot. And once Dylan Ward, he's almost like a foot outside the crease when he steps out.
Oh yeah, he's huge.
It covers everything. Like you're shooting, what am I going to hit? And that's their defense they run because Dylan Ward's so good. I mean, once these other teams figure out what to do with their goalies and how to run the right defense, it really is a kind of like a goalie season this year because all these goalies are playing phenomenal.
Yeah, and that's I think what it's going to come down to is which goalie can stay hottest for the longest.
Yes, I agree with that one.
Well, we've been going for 45 minutes, but so I had originally cut Owen's video, and I was going to trim it smaller to put on this, and then I was like, I don't know why I'll even do that. I'll just leave it on the end. So Owen will be closing our show from now on. He talks about the Calgary game. Did you happen to watch that Calgary game?
Some of it.
They're the dark horse in the East, I think. They got off to a slow start, but they're playing the transition. Del Bianco's on fire. Yeah, it's looking good. But all right, thanks everyone so much. We'll be ending on that. We'll be in the live chat here if anybody pops out for a couple minutes and wants to talk to us.
Yep. Go Bills. The Thunder Monkey.
So we've got Owen Falk with us, the one of the Thunder Monkeys players, and when it comes to the lacrossing barriers, are you you're a coach mentor for that program as well?
I'm a coach for that program as well as I do a lot of the social media work.
That's awesome. So I'm super excited we got hooked up. But like we were talking about, the Calgary this week, did basically the exact opposite or what everybody else has done to them. They came out of the gate on fire this week.
They did 5-0 for the majority of the first, and then Josh Courier with his first ever goal. Now that was awesome.
Yeah, that's huge. And I see you guys had another sweet stat up there. That was also the first time he's played with his brother since 2019 with the Senior A Peterborough Lakers.
Yes, indeed.
And
they won 3 consecutive back-to-backs, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, with the man cuff is what it looks like. Wow, so that's an impressive fact. So that's huge, and it was great to see, like you said, that spark kind of helped him go. And King must have really listened to our first show where we said he needs to step up, because ever since then, King has been on a tear as well.
Yeah, King was definitely on fire, especially with that hat trick.
Yeah, 100%. He's got the hat trick, but I think like the big thing that you're seeing from King is just the leadership and like staying, out of the box, making sure he scored at the right time, getting the team moving. So much of that leadership quality that you guys needed for such a young team.
Yeah, no, totally. Everyone stepped up. Like Zach didn't want his brother showing him up, so he goes and scores right after his brother, a few minutes after.
Yeah, and then so finally, when the first San Diego goal, that was also a former rigger, Dane Doby, as well as the assist.
Yes.
So, and then they they get through the half, and then it's 8-4. And again, you see King gets the assist on the power play. He's part of making it go. And Hairwires, he had 2 power play goals?
Yeah. I don't think they were in the first, from my recollection. They were actually throughout the whole game.
Yeah, but wow, what an output that they're starting to get from all the guys. I mean, that is exactly. And what I find so impressive of it, though, is so like you look at Hairwires, and he only took 5 shots. So with 5 shots and 2 goals, wow.
Well, you also got to remember those first 3 goals were against Frankie, who was benched the rest of the game.
Yeah. Once they so Shigliano, yeah, and then they pulled him. But that is really what is so important in this league. You see it more than anything, and having a goalkeeper like Del Bianco is one thing Calgary has in their favor. Is they have that stellar goalie, and as a Firewolves fan, having Dougie Jamieson, I definitely know the value of a goalie, and as you saw, what a huge difference, because even if San Diego was able to make more of a comeback out of it, it's hard to get out of a 5-goal deficit.
Yeah, totally. And especially since Calgary wasn't lighting up either, they kept hammering it on for the 3rd and 4th, and ended up with the W.
Yeah, one thing that I noticed as I'm looking through the stats is you look and you see that Calgary never let San Diego, other than they had that 1 4-goal run at the beginning in between the first and the second, but then they never allowed them to get that kind of run again. Every time San Diego scored, Calgary would come back, or like they had the 2 goals and then Calgary would come back.
Yeah, it was always you're right. San Diego would score 1 and Calgary would come back with 1 or 2, like pretty responsibly.
Yeah, and that is talking to so many of these players. They always talk about it's a game of runs. You're gonna have these runs that happen where you get a goal or 2, but that, like you said, is such a huge thing for Calgary. Is they stopped really the runs, and the only runs that were had was the big run from them at the beginning, and then they had another 3-goal run there. Yeah, they actually just were able to get those longer runs. Something that it's really funny, because when you look and you see like Dickinson left because he really, thought that he would have a better chance to get a cup. But as we've been talking about, this Calgary team is the dark horse. I think they're going to be like Colorado. They had a little slow start, but you could see the pieces there at the beginning.
Yeah, totally. Another thing I kind of noticed was most of San Diego's goals happened to be on the power play. That's what I noticed watching it. So, considering they were on the power play for the most part, letting Delbs getting a few goals past him isn't that major.
Right, because they're not those goals that the goalies, that they're going to let get in their head because it's a power play, it's the ball movement.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, one stat that you guys had pointed out that we kind of glazed over, and you kind of touched on it there, was in the first half there was already 14 penalty minutes. I mean, this was a very chippy, physical.
Yeah, it was a very chippy game. Like, I was watching it, and I'm surprised there wasn't more penalties because every time, just before they cut to commercials or whatever, you'd see guys chirping at each other a bit.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is that you've got a lot of these guys that have left that team to go to San Diego because they basically were saying Calgary wasn't good enough. So you got to imagine the Calgary players take that and they're like, oh, yeah, guys, look at what we got.
Yeah, but yeah, one of the things that stood out to me was Zach Courier actually and Dane were chirping back and forth for a bit.
Yeah.
I thought there was going to be a fight there for a minute.
Yeah, and speaking of Zach, now how many loose balls did he end up with? He's usually good for at least a dozen or so, right?
Yeah, he got 12. Yeah.
Sweet. So, yeah, he had a dozen. And you actually see the top assist getter for the night. I'll announce that we had Tyler Pace for Calgary, and then the one for San Diego is
Curtis Dixon.
Dixon. That's the problem. You've got so many professional friends, you don't know which ones I'm talking about.
Yeah, no. Curtis, yeah, he was top point getter of the night for the Seals.
Yeah, he's definitely a great player, and I always kind of wonder when you see that is like, would the team play this good, or just having a player like Curtis Dixon, they kind of use him as a crutch, where they rely too heavily on him to score, whereas now the team really buys into that team concept because you guys had, you had two guys with the hat trick, but other than that, it really spreads out as far as your goal getters. You get one here, one there.
Yeah, no, and I was also very impressed. Josh Courier, for his first game in a Roughneck uniform, also got 5 points.
Yeah. Looked really good. Made you guys look really smart for picking him up.
Right? He wasn't, I read the report and stuff, and Sath wasn't giving him playing time for the first few games. So it's like, okay, why weren't you giving him playing time?
Yeah, it's crazy, but I mean, and the other thing you see here is like you've got Selma 10 loose ball pickups, Van Scheppen 6, Cornwall with 7, and really the team is just so spread out, and they don't rely on one or two guys to do it all, and that's why I said I think they're going to be the Colorado this year. You've got a couple guys that can get the hat trick. You've proven time and time again that like King can be that guy.
Yeah, totally. Especially seeing what they were capable of this game and knocking San Diego off their undefeated streak. I was really impressed. Like, I was watching TV here and I was screaming out my bedroom. I'm not even kidding, man. Like, I couldn't be at the game in person because of my injury, but I was doing like the who scored and all like the celebration stuff from my bedroom.
Oh, that's awesome. I do that too all the time. I watched the Firewolves game, and by the time I got home, I drove down to New Jersey to film another game, and didn't get to watch it until Saturday morning. And I was sitting here, I woke everybody up in the house at like 6:30 in the morning. I started screaming at the TV.
Yeah. So yeah, Calgary's next game is actually Toronto at home on 28th.
And Toronto just had a pretty good game. They beat Halifax, but it was a pretty beaten up Halifax. But Toronto's kind of been turning it around. So what do you think going into that Toronto game? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good, especially if they show up like they did in the first half. There's definitely some guys out there they got to watch out for a little, but...
Yeah, 100%. I think you nailed it when you said they have to show up, because that seems to have been every game that they've really lost. If you look at the entirety of the game, you're like, if you guys could have showed up for the first quarter, you would have won that game. You could have just, like, even if you only gave yourself a 2-goal deficit, you would have won the game. But yeah, the thing with Toronto right now is I think Schreiber and Keogh and Rogers and everybody up there is starting to kind of get in sync, and that is a very dangerous team. I think this will be a great test because now we know how Calgary kind of figured out San Diego, and they were able to give it to them. They showed at the first quarter in that game, maybe the first half of the first game, they were stumped, but wow, the coaching staff and the players have really stepped up since then, because other than that first half, it's been back and forth, and really Calgary has won the second half of the last game and the entirety of the next game. So they really are looking good. But I think Toronto they can be that team, and it's like they don't quite have the experience. I don't know. I can't wait. I think it's going to be a super exciting game.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a good game. And then San Diego is going up against Colorado.
Yes, and that'll be huge because now we really get to see how those two teams stack up. Zed Williams is back, so and some other guys. That's that I tell you, that Colorado team too. They are just as good. But I can tell you firsthand that I have watched Nick Rose shut down my Firewolves many times. So and he, if anybody can really turn that game around, it's going to be Nick Rose. But you guys have, Delbs, and Delbs usually is up to the task.
Yeah, totally. Delbs managed to save 42 shots last game, so let's bring it.
Yeah, 42 shots. And one of the most impressive things I think that, and it's kind of been underrated, is San Diego has held teams to, so it was 10 goals this game. The last game they held them to 9. They didn't end up winning, but they have not had a real bad defensive game, like a complete defensive game. Yes, they have had some hiccups, I guess you could call it, but they, I tell you, their defense, I think, is extremely underrated with Del Bianco back there. I think that's really what is the heart and soul of this Calgary team.
Totally, and Delbs is a great guy. He makes amazing saves every game. He really is the threshold of the defense.
Yes. It's huge to have that leadership back there with them, and they've got the guys. I'm so glad since me and you started talking, I pay so much more attention to this Calgary team, because at first it was one of those, I watch them, but they're in the West Coast, so I don't spend too much time watching the West Coast teams because I'm more concerned with everything over here. But now, wow, I'm so glad we did, because I really think they are the dark horse. I'm telling you, right now they might be the team coming out of the West, because if they continue to grow as they have been, you got to be excited for the way this has been turning out.
Yeah, no, I just looked at the standings today, and with the win the other day, Calgary moved up to 3rd in the West.
Yeah, Calgary moved up to 3rd in the West, and Saskatchewan has got, they're in a very similar position to you guys, a lot of young players. They've got to get some goals out of some of their younger guys, but they rely heavily on Church and a couple of their other players. So it's a very similar team. That's going to be a great game for you guys. I'm really curious to see how they stack up against Toronto, though, because, like I said, I think, Schreiber and Keogh is, I think, one of those players, too. I could not believe when Halifax got rid of him, they let him go, because some of these guys are like, what are you doing? But
right.
Oh man, it'll be. What do you think? Is gonna be their key? Is it gonna be?
I'm one of those people who believe a strong defense is a good offense. So that defense and Delb's doing his thing, that's what's gonna be key.
100%, and they're good for a couple transition goals a game. I mean, Delbs with that sticks ever since we talked about it. I don't know if you remember if it was 2 weeks ago, but the first time I noticed it, and they play such a way that as soon as if they miss the change once on the when you're playing against Calgary, they're coming down and they're gonna have a breakaway or at least a 3 on 2.
Delbs is it can make those long passes for days.
It's absolutely insane. And he just lasers it through traffic or knows when to lob it. And how he does that with a goalie stick. Have you ever tried to throw with a goalie stick?
No, but I could imagine.
It's terrible. I don't know how these guys do it. I coached kids, so every once in a while I'll grab one of the goalie sticks, and the first thing I do, I throw it right in the dirt. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, no. I actually won this stick from HBC Lacrosse on Instagram.
Ooh, sweet.
I won this head, so it's actually going to be going to a guy, I think he's in Manitoba, Aiden, he's gonna do it up. I'm thinking like a PS5 kind of design on the head.
Uh-huh.
It's gonna be like metallic blue with some PlayStation logos and stuff.
That's pretty fancy. See,
Yeah.
Ball bounces wildly over to the board and is snagged there. Off for the run is Aiden Shureflute.
what we got. And then
Yeah.
my goal always is to get people to send me hoodies. I like hoodies for some reason.
Yeah, well, I think Lacrosse and Barriers has a few things in the work. I'm not confirming or denying anything.
But yeah, if we're yeah, because like especially if they gave you that head, we'll definitely shout them out. And then when you get it
totally.
back from there, we'll do another shout out for those guys. Because
totally.
I don't think I've ever seen a PlayStation stick. I'm really curious to how he.
Yeah, like he works for One Lax and stuff, so I'm excited to see what he does with it.
I bet. That's one thing is we've got a vinyl cutter. So like if you guys ever want simple like stickers for helmets, like one color stickers or something like that, we can cut them out for you pretty cheap. Because that's we do stick dies too, but we cut the stickers and then we put the sticker on and then we drop it in the bucket to dye it. And then when you peel it out, you pull the sticker off and it's
kind of like hydro dipping.
Kind of like hydro dipping.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we do, but the biggest thing is, so when you're doing it with the lacrosse stick, you have to warm the water up to 180 degrees.
Holy.
So you keep, yeah, and it's hard because you actually have to keep the temperature around 180 because that opens the plastic up, but not too much that it, like warps it and makes it so it's not usable. So.
Yeah, I know very little about dyeing, so it's interesting.
Do you string them?
No, he's actually gonna custom string it for me too.
Do you know if he? So do you have a preference on your stringing?
Not.
So like this is my one stick. So it's a Lakota
nice.
U. We did tiger stripes on it. I use this armor mesh, man. This stuff is so fun for like me because I'll take it on the beach with me. This armor mesh is so sweet.
Well, fun fact, actually, Zach Courier, he actually works for Under Armour, testing out the different mesh and the stringing. And
oh, really?
Engineer for them out. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, no, that's not Under Armour, though. Those are, it's Armor Mesh, they call it, but it's not actually the company Under Armour. It's some other guy. I've got my wall stick I'm trying to show you, but it's stuck.
Oh, yeah. No worries. Yeah. But yeah, literally he plays around with all the sticks and tests them for them.
Oh, that's what a sweet job. This is my this is my pride and joy. I dyed this one all and strung it. But actually the pocket was out of that Lakota, so this is a Thompson Brothers pocket that I pulled out and put in here.
Oh, nice.
And then so have you ever seen the movie Crooked Arrows?
No.
Oh my God, you got to watch it. It's like the Mighty Ducks of lacrosse, but it's so good.
Seriously?
Oh my God, yes.
Oh, okay. I'm
this
looking it up later.
This is a bunch of the players that played in it. So Lyle Thompson was in it, and then so I've got Alex Cook, and Alex's son signed it for me, and Ty Hill and Ty's son signed it for me, and I'm gonna have Neil sign it because he was the coach in the movie. But yeah, that's my little pride and joy. It used to be my coaching stick until I ran into Lyle Thompson and he signed it. Now it just hangs on the wall.
Yeah, I've met Lyle Thompson. He's an amazing guy.
Yeah, super nice, chill guy.
Oh yeah, all the Thompson brothers.
Yeah, I just got to meet Heine the other day for the first time down on the floor afterwards because they do that too.
Yeah.
And and his old man was out there. They're such a cool family. They've done so much for the sport of lacrosse. Plus, I've learned so much about the Native American culture just from watching their videos.
Yeah, no, totally. They do a lot on that.
Yeah, that is awesome. Oh, man. Well, unfortunately, it's about my bedtime because we're a couple hours ahead of you. But thank you so much. Give us a quick shout out real quick as to where people can find all your stuff.
Yeah, so Thunder Monkeys is on Instagram at tmonkeys_lax. And then Lacrossing Barriers, you can find us at Lacrossing Barriers. And then I won't plug me because I just feel like that's a shameless plug. But
No, you gotta plug you. You're the affiliate. You're the big time affiliate. We gotta plug
okay,
you.
and then me you can find at OJ the Dude.
OJ the Dude. I absolutely love your name. And we will have links for OJ the Dude, the Crossing Barriers, and the Thunder Monkeys in the description of our video. As always, thank you so much for joining us. And actually, we'll see you next week, Owen.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Owen. We'll talk to you next week.